good evening. It's 7:04 p.m. on a gorgeous Tuesday inside of XMH Empire for our very first masterclass of the entire year of 2023. I am ready to rock. Oh man, I went to a live event this past weekend with someone who has been mentoring me for over a year now. And I came home from that particular event so certain that I wanted to share this particular information with my treasured clients inside of this space. And just the vibes are real. If you've seen my content in the last couple of days, the vibes are real. For context, I attended something called a 7-figure speaker conference, and I was sharing the room with around 200-ish aspiring speakers, entrepreneurs, just people who want to get paid for their intellectual property. And as I met the various people at that space and followed them in the social media platforms like Instagram and Facebook, what I know to be true is the things that I'm doing as my work in the world with women is so needed. It's so needed. And so as my gift to you for this very gorgeous January of 2023, I wanted to create a piece of content that you can come back to and replay over and over and over and over as a true North Star for your brand. So if that sounds like a vibe and you're ready for it, can you hashtag the words True North? Whether you're here watching live or you're here on the replay, just hashtag the words for me, True North, the North Star. That at any time in 2023, if you start to feel lackluster about the brand that you're building, the empire that you're building, the legacy that you're building, that you can come back to this space and replay this specific masterclass. And I want to ask you a favor that as many times as you come back and watch this year, you hashtag the words True North, so that I am certain that you guys get value out of this. Because tonight I'm going to be just riffing on what I think are the 7 standards of a brand that exceeds the 100K mark. There's a lot of aspiring brands. There's a lot of people who wish to build an empire, and then there's those who do. And in my opinion, there's 7 things that make the cut, specifically in the social media landscape. So if that sounds fair, I want to drop this information for you tonight to come back to for inspiration. And as many times as you come back, just hashtag the words True North. Does that sound fair? Now, as we're getting into the 7 standards, if you'll tell me where you're watching from, that's always really interesting to me to see what countries are represented, what cities are represented. So shout out your city, be proud about it. Let us know where you're watching from live tonight. And I want to move into the content pretty immediately because I know that this particular piece of content is going to be replayed. I know that you guys are going to come back to it, so I don't want to make the intro really long. What I want to say first tonight is that we've never lived in a better time or with a clearer opportunity to build an empire. I have been in tears off and on today just thinking about this concept. I wrote some posts today, and I asked my viewers and my readers to imagine the hands of their grandmother. And if you have someone that's like a grandma to you, I want you to picture their hands. Hands that washed dishes. I can still see certain cups in my grandma's hands. I can see margarine like tubs in my other grandma's hands. She saved them. We ate cereal out of them as snacks. I can picture my grandma's hands on both sides washing dishes. You have ancestors And I want you to picture their hands. Hands that sewed blankets and clothes, planted gardens, patted the backs of babies, made homes. See their hands. And realize that no matter how much they wanted it, they did not have the opportunities that we have today. They did the work that was available for them to do. And whether you have a great relationship with your grandma or anyone in your family that came before you, I want you to have grace and mercy tonight for the fact that they were not given the opportunities that we have. You hold in your hands a phone. So you pictured their hands, now picture your hands. My mother didn't have the opportunity to build a 7-figure empire. There was not the means, even for my mother. There was not the opportunity. There was definitely not that opportunity for my grandmother, or her mother, or her mother. But in your hands, you hold a phone. What a different landscape. What a time to be alive. You hold in your hands today a tool that has all the information and all the connections you could ever need to build a 100,000, a multi 6-figure or 7-figure empire, and it's literally in your hand. Your grandma, your mother, her mother, her mother, her mother, they didn't get to do what we do. And so they put their time and attention on building us. What a legacy. When I think of that, I just cry. I don't know how my grandma felt about that. I don't know if she wanted more. I'm so grateful. But every time that I come into training women and equipping women and showing them what's available, I very often, I shouldn't say every time, but I very often think of my grandma. My grandma's on both sides. Actually, here in the very room that I record 90% of my content, I have like tokens from each of my grandmas. I have a vase from one of my grandmas on my dad's side. I have the perfume bottles of another grandma. I have the hairbrush of my great grandma that still has her silver hair in it. I have pictures of my mother's mother, and I am certain that the sacrifices that were made for me are robust. And because of that, it's not possible for me to sit on my gifts. It's not possible for me to sit on my hands and take it for granted. It's just not possible for me. It means too much, what they've done. And so whether you love your parents or you hate them, and whether you despise your grandma or when you think of her hands, you think fond memories, either way, they were dealt a hand that we weren't dealt. We walked into a life where like there's limitlessness in our hands every day. And I don't love the whole concept of like it gets to be easy in the coaching space or whatever. Like, you guys know I'm not a big fan of that, like, oh, it gets to be easy concept. But I do want to say it has never been easier to actually build an empire, a personal brand. And that is what I want to talk with you about tonight. So first I want to, sorry, my eyelash is bothering the crap out of me. There we go. First, I want to actually define the concept of a personal brand. How many of you in the comment section think that you know what a personal brand actually means? If you can give me like a little bit of interaction here, go ahead and tell me definitions wise, how would you define a personal brand? When I say the word personal brand, which I interchange with the word empire, what do you think that I mean by that? A personal brand. Actually, I can't see comments yet. I've been waiting for them to kick in. I'm so grateful that you're all here. There's like 30 people watching live. It means the freaking world. You have no idea. It always means the world to speak live to an audience. You have no idea. I wish this for all of you. So I'm going to jump in and just see what the comments are, because I want to know if you guys have a definition for a personal brand. Let's see. Oh my gosh, I love you guys. Let's see. I don't see too much in the way of personal brand, so I'm just going to go ahead and define it for you. When I say the words personal brand, I mean a literal corporation and an empire built around your name. Like, wow, right? My mother didn't have that opportunity. My grandma didn't have that opportunity, not without her husband. A personal brand, in my definition, is a corporation, an entire brand centered around you as the image, the name, the intellectual property. When you have a thriving personal brand, a thriving empire with you at the helm, you can literally sell anything that is in alignment with your mission. That's a personal brand. It's leveraging your own unique experiences, character, persona, personality, experience, education, lack of an education. Some people build a whole brand around the fact that they didn't go to college and they're successful. It's a brand centered around who you are that offers value to the world, and you can literally sell anything that is in alignment with that brand for you and your mission. Does that make sense? That's what I mean when I say a personal brand. When I speak about my empire, the XMH empire, the Xtina Marie Harmsworth empire, when I say the XMH empire, I can literally curate offers and sell products and services that are in alignment with my mission, and anything is on the table, because it's not that I'm pigeonholed into one specific niche. It's anything that's in alignment with my mission can be sold under the umbrella of my personal brand. I wish that this information was in an even bigger platform, and I'm hoping to take it to a bigger platform this year, because when I think about college athletes and, like, you know, players that are in that realm, or people who get like their 15 minutes of fame in TV or media, if they could build a personal brand off of their 15 minutes of fame, they could be 7 figures or higher for life. But it's about leverage. It's about building the 7 standards of a thriving personal brand, so that whatever partnerships, whatever products, whatever offers you want to take into the space that are in alignment with you, you can do. So if you're tracking and you can picture yourself having a personal brand under the umbrella of which you could possibly sell speaking, coaching, books, perhaps, products, the products that you love, being an affiliate of them, services, in-person retreats, etc. If you can see that for yourself and you're like, if that's a personal brand, I want that. If that's true for you, can you hashtag personal brand. And I want to make sure that you're tracking. If this is making sense, can you write tracking? So let's move into, in my opinion, because I've worked with now hundreds of women around developing their personal image and their personal brands. Sorry about the wild hair. There we go. You know what I'm saying? I do my best with what I have, but I have a lot of baby hairs here from having my babies. Anyways, I've worked with hundreds of women, 274 clients last year alone to be exact. We did $1.1 million in sales last year, helping women to create their personal image and launch their personal brands. So I might know a tiny thing or two on this topic. But in my opinion, there's 7 standards that thriving personal brands that escalate past the 100K mark have and do. So if you're ready for those, I want you to have a pen and paper in hand, please, or your notes. And I want to get started with number 1. So, number 1. The first standard in the entire thing is an audience. So write it in your notes. Audience is number 1. Audience is number 1. One issue that I see is that people decide one day that they want to build their empire. And if they're brave, they might hire a coach and create some offers. And they take their offer into the online space and they try to make their invitation to an empty room. So it's like they're shouting down a long, empty hallway, "Hi, I have an offer." And the silence is deafening. And it hurts their ego, and it hurts their pride, and it hurts their feelings, because the truth is, so many women entrepreneurs have something life-changing to offer. And they present this offer via social media, via their stories, reels, copywriting, etc. But no one has been primed or prepared that there's something coming. And so it looks like it's just out of the gates. Like, where did this come from? Like, I've known, say her name is Allison. I've known Allison my entire life. I went to middle school with her. Why is she all of a sudden selling this thing? I had no idea she had a background in this. Meanwhile, Allison has been getting a coaching certification. She's been training with a mentor. She's been getting educated behind the scenes, and she said nothing. Can you see the problem? So in my opinion, the first thing to look at, the first standard of 7 is growing an audience. And that takes heart. Like, write the word heart. It takes heart because you're connecting. It takes heart. It takes bravery. It takes vulnerability. It takes time. It takes actual devotion. It takes devotion to showing up in your truth and telling people the things that you've been working on, sharing your passions, actually showing your authority on the topic that you're going to be making offers around, so that when you make your offer, it's not coming out of left field. People are like, "Oh yeah, she's been talking about this." Like she said she joined a mastermind. She said that she's doing like a trauma program. She said that she's taking a copywriting course. She said that she's learning social media. Like, I should see this coming. Of course she's launching her coaching practice. She's been working on it for months. Of course she's developing a program. She has a mentor. Versus signing up for the coaching, signing up for the mentorship, never telling anyone that you did it, and then out of nowhere after 6 months just being like, "Hi, I'm a coach." And everyone who knew Allison since middle school is like, "No, the heck you're not." Because she wasn't brave. and she wasn't courageous, and she didn't actually put it out there vulnerably, say like, hey, like this is a passion of mine. I've been through some things. It made me want to explore my own inner workings, and now I want to share what I learned with others in the form of coaching or mentorship or entrepreneurship. Can you see how if there's no attention given to the audience, but then you just show up to give your offer, how it just doesn't work? It makes people very judgy, to be frank, and it has the opposite effect of what you want it to. Because if you only show up for the interaction of the sale, and you haven't been communicating and sharing your journey with your audience all along to bring them on the journey with you, if you haven't been vulnerable and brave, if you haven't told people your truth, your stories, but then you just show up to say, now pay me, it's going to feel like people get defensive. That's just psychology. And so standard number 1 is audience growth mode. Now, some tenets of audience growth mode is like literally showing up in what I teach my clients it's called CGAs. It's your CGAs on a daily basis. And it's literally creating content so that people can get to know you. What you have authority on, what you're knowledgeable about, if I can get that word out. Like, what is your intellectual property? What are your experiences? What are your stories? Making them laugh, having fun with them. And then, of course, inviting them into your thing, whatever your thing is. And if you don't know what your thing is yet, if you don't know what you're going to sell and what you're going to offer, the time to do audience growth mode was start yesterday. Audience growth mode is something that I cultivated at the beginning of my journey, and I promise you, I do it every year. There are certain times within the year where I do bigger pushes for audience growth mode, and as someone who did over 7 figures in sales last year, I promise you, I'm still in audience growth mode. If you have a passion for impact, and you have a passion for changing lives, and you'd like to be paid handsomely to do so, you will never stop audience growth mode. Now, the thing about that's going to kind of take me into the next mode is that the social media landscape changes all the time. I learn about new features on social media every day. Because this is my craft, being on social media and helping women to build their brands, I literally grow every day. I learn something new every day. There's things that I learn every day. And so if you're serious about audience growth mode, you actually have to show up and learn. There are things about Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook that are changing constantly. And so as you develop a brand that is known, a personal brand that is known in the social media landscape, you actually have to tune in with people who are building brands in real time that are just a little bit ahead of you. Shamelessly, I'm a great person to do that with because I'm in it every day. I'm learning every day. I have a support team, an admin team that's in it with me every day, and they answer our clients' questions when they get stuck. Like, I teach tech-friendly classes for people because one of the most intimidating things is actually learning the platforms. How many can say they feel a little bit intimidated about TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, getting on there and making reels and selling in stories? Anybody put a hand in the comments, grab the hand emoji, put it in the comments if it's a little intimidating. I know. I was there. That was me. When we started our cosmetic brand, which was my first baby in the online space, I literally didn't even know how to type. When we started this brand, I was a hairdresser and a makeup artist, and I was great at what I did, and it allowed me to never have to type. Someone else typed and booked my appointments, and so I never learned to type. I didn't grow up with a computer in my house. We weren't that cool. There was a computer at my dad's house, and I got in trouble every time that I used it because I would screw things up. And then that contributed to learning trauma. Anyone else with learning trauma? You can hashtag the word learning trauma if when you go to do things in the online space, your brain freezes. I understand. I had a heavy dose of this to overcome because my emotions were hardwired to every time that I like went to a computer, I would think about getting yelled at by my family and feeling stupid because I'd be like, I don't know. How do you turn on the internet? That's how old I am. And so I've had to actually work through significant learning trauma, especially around new apps. This is why in my content, I talk about like the first 3 hours of anything, like literally are going to be the hardest first 3 hours that you ever do. And there's going to be new things that you do as an entrepreneur that they're going to be challenging. And I understand when my clients are like, my brain is mush today. And I'm like, I get it, girl. And tomorrow it's going to be easier, I promise you. I get it. Which is why when I teach things like audience growth mode and how to structure your profile, I love to do work with me hours. If any of my clients are here and you've done a work with me hour before, throw me some hearts right now or the wow face, because this is a big piece of what helped me. Being able, I've hired people and asked them, let me watch over your shoulder while you do this so that I can learn. And this is something that I do with the clients inside of MDM and Locked and Loaded in my various programs, is I let them look over my shoulder and watch me create on the various apps. So if apps scare you, I've got you. Okay, that was a rabbit trail. Let's move. Okay, so number one is audience growth mode. Before you even know what you're gonna sell, it's time to grow your audience. Number one, okay? So standard number two. Ready? Ba, 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 ba. Okay. Standard 2 of 7 is hell yes offers and proven launch sequences. So here's the thing about when you've grown your audience and they're watching you and they're curious and they're like, oh my gosh, Lisa's doing the thing, Tammy's doing the thing. I can see a difference in Tirza. She's clearly doing something out here. What are you doing? Then it's time to actually develop a hell yes offer. So if you're live, thing number 2 is hell yes offers and launches. The second thing that I do with my clients in my sequence is number 1, we grow the audience, the audience, and then thing number 2 is we develop offers. I like to actually get inside of my clients' brains and help them find the thing that it's time for them to sell. I have done this successfully with many women to help them generate their first 100K or more. And often it's something that's right underneath their nose and it's so close to them that they can't even see it or smell it because they're used to it. So many women have brilliance between their 2 ears and they do it every day and they assume that everyone else does it too, the way that they do it. And I'm like, that's your intellectual property. Let's turn that into an irresistible offer and use what I prefer is an organic social media launch sequence. Now let me break this down for you just like a tiny smidgy. So when I say launch sequence, you can do a lot of things to launch. You can use paid ads. You can build a big ass funnel. Pardon my language, I'm real sweary sometimes. You could buy ClickFunnels and spend 6 months building it out. You can do email sequences. You can inbox people. There's so many different ways to sell. And for me, I prefer to take a proven offer and a proven launch sequence, and I prefer to sell them organically via social media. Why? Because this phone that our mothers didn't have and our grandmothers didn't have connects you with like the 7 billion other people on the planet. You can go viral. You can be found just by talking about the thing that you're very most interested in, and it can sell without tons of fancy dancy things. Legitimately, I love speakers and trainers like Alex Hormozy because he spits real truth. You actually don't even need a website to get started in business. You need 3 things: articles of incorporation or to get your business started. like on paper, legally. You need a business bank account, and you need a way to accept payment. Like Stripe, PayPal, Venmo, Zelle. Those are the 3 real things that you need to start getting in business. And from there, it's just communicating your offer in the online space. People extremely overcomplicate it, build out these huge fancy systems that cost thousands and thousands of dollars, and it's kind of on like a question mark. You don't need all of that. You need to grow an audience. You need to create an offer that really solves a problem for people. And you need to communicate that offer and allow people to buy it. That's called an offer sequence. Now, I teach the ways that I do this that have been effective, that grew our brand from 0 to our first 20K and then 50K, 100K, multiple 6 figures, and to $1.1 million in sales last year. Yes, eventually we got a website, but it wasn't a need right up front. So the second thing in our 7 standards is really just hell yes offers and launching them into the online space. And I teach all of our clients how to do this in places like Offer to Launch. Tell me what you're getting so far. What's your big takeaway so far? Because if you tell me back what you heard, it's going to land for you better. And I'm going to move to number 3. The third thing, the third standard, is what I'm going to call the language. If you're live, type number 3, the language. The language. Now, there are some people that go to universities and colleges to learn the language of academia. How many of you have a degree? Go ahead and just shout it out. Be proud. Do you have a degree in something? Did you go to a trade school? Did you go to any formal education? Do you have any type of certifications? What's your degree in? When you go get a degree, you learn the language of your industry. So when we're speaking of social selling, we're speaking of building your empire in the social media landscape. When we're speaking of the personal brands, there's a language. The difference between brands who hit the 100K or higher, it has a lot to do with their linguistics. It's how they communicate. I refer to this as copywriting. So there's 2 different ways to spell copywriting. There's like copy and then writing, like with your hands. That's what I'm talking about here. It's writing copy. It's writing words. So copywriting is either your spoken linguistics that communicate your offers, the value that you give to people, the transformation that you can offer, and your authority in the marketplace. That's your copywriting. It's either what's verbally spoken out of your mouth, or it's the spoken word in written format. Just show of hands, how many of you read my posts and it like you can picture something in your head, or it really lands? It's made you cry. It's made you excited. That's because when I write and when I type, I'm literally expressing the way that I would say it out of my mouth. I'm taking like the spoken word and I'm putting it into written format. That's copywriting. And a big piece of this is I chose over the last decade to walk with other entrepreneurs to learn the language. Just as so many of you have gotten degrees. I see Carrie Rissinger here. She's got a degree in business management, HR certification. I see, who else is here that has a degree? Lisa says too many degrees. Tisha and Kimura says yes, she's got child development and teaching credential, a faith-based life coach, grief recovery specialist. Tammy Price says 2 certifications in different coaching methods. Kimberly Bixby's got a BBA in marketing. Sherry Delgado Marino says she's got 3 degrees, computer science, MBA, entrepreneurial counseling. Like, there's so many people that have a degree. And the thing is, like, you get the degree, and the investment, like the exchange of value for the degree, is that you actually learn the language. So you'll notice that when you're really looking at someone who is true to their craft and they're building a true empire, they're out here to get like the 100K plus outcome. They're here to build a personal brand. You'll notice that the language feels and sounds different. They've honed their craft as a speaker, as a writer, and as an authority. So standard number 3 is the language that's used. That sets you above and beyond. It sets you high above the competition. It's the way you communicate. Now, for me, this was a learned trait. I met so many of you through a mentorship that I walked through for 5 years. And I was immersed in a language that I didn't know. I listened to, back then it was CDs or like MP3s, and I listened to them over and over and over and over again to acclimate my brain to the language of sales, of presentation, of the soft skills, of connecting with people. It's a language. And so when you're really truly about that life of, okay, I'm going to build an empire, a personal brand, a brand that is based around me as the focal point, where I can sell anything that's in alignment with my mission. The umbrella is broad and I can sell anything. If that's your vision, you actually have to learn the language. You have to actually develop your gift of writing and speaking. So number 3 is the language, aka copywriting. Capiche? Is it landing? How we doing? All right. Number 4. Standard number 4. Here we go. The art of sales. Sales acumen is number 4. Lovingly, if you are spearheading a personal brand, it's not enough to be able to write pretty posts. It's not enough to tell stories. It's not enough to tell people, I'm getting my coaching certification. It's not enough to say, I paint pretty pictures. Want to see? I make art. People are like, congratulations. Cool. Wish I could paint. There's the art of sales. There's sales acumen. Sales trainers are like $1 billion industry. I found out over the weekend that the actual budget for hiring paid trainers and speakers in just one industry, it's like a $700 billion budget. The art of sales is like crazy in demand. And it's that big of an industry because people don't understand necessarily how to do it, and it's an art that pays. So there's the concept of knowing the language and connecting with people, which was our number 3. It's the language, is the copywriting. And then there's the art of selling. Now, a lot of people don't love that word, sales, because they're like, oh my God, I signed up for a network marketing company way back then, and they made me talk about my stuff and DM 45 people in a month. And it's triggering, right? Anyone else? I've had a couple clients that are like, don't make me sell. And I'm like, but maybe you need to learn the art of sales. Maybe you need to learn how to sell from feminine energetics, how to write, speak, and sell, like invite people into your world and speak the language of feminine energetics sells. So when I look into the online space and I see the women who are truly winning, the women who are escalating past 100K annually or higher, much higher, they're excellent communicators. They know the language and they also know how to sell. They're making invitations almost daily. And it's not a hard sell. These are not women who are like punishing people. So just we're going to put an X next to the word punishing. We're not punishing people. Put an X next to degrading people. Put an X next to making people feel stupid. We're not doing any of that. Put an X next to pushy behavior. We're not doing that. There is an art. It's called feminine energetics led selling, where we don't use any of those old weird tactics. I'm just going to give you like a bonus drop. Everybody write the word bonus drop. I'm going to teach you something really quick. There's something that I refer with my clients a lot, and it's called the energetic scale of emotion. And I teach on this deeply in places like Iconic. It's one of the standards of emotional intelligence in my brand. And it's basically a range of the lowest frequency emotions. Like 0 means like dead. You're dead. At 0, you are dead. And then it goes up through like really low level emotions, poor emotions like sadness and grief and depression. And then it goes into a little bit more active emotions like anger and rage and like righteousness. And then it goes up into a little bit higher like reason and intelligence and intellect and generosity. Then it goes even higher into like love, beauty, inspiration, unity, peace, global expansion. Okay? And most people who are doing selling, the goal of the selling, and they don't realize this, but major sales trainers teach this stuff. The goal of the selling is actually to take people into a category that's like 125 on the energetic frequency scale. And that feeling, that frequency rating, is a feeling of lack, need, self-consciousness, self-doubt, and even self-hate. So, newsflash, most marketing that you're watching, like the stuff on TV, the stuff in magazines, a lot of it is aimed at a very low-level mindset of taking clients into feeling not good about themselves. And so they buy out of a feeling of, if I buy this thing, maybe my life will be better because they have shown me in this ad that my life is horrible. I don't subscribe to that model. And what I find is that when I left that model of selling, which was taught to me for a long time, like point out the need, point out the problem, like make people feel like hot garbage, and then hit them with the sale. Like when I left that model completely and I was like, yeah, I'm not available for this. Once I realized what I was doing, I was like, whoa, I feel real bad. We're not doing that anymore. Like done. When I stopped subscribing to that and I actually started selling from feminine energetics, which is the top end of the scale, showing people possibility, inspiration, strategy, reason, intellect, knowledge, unity, sisterhood, healing, impact, a bigger purpose for life, that's when my sales actually skyrocketed. So there's an art to selling. And if all you've ever been taught is like the kind of like bro energy sales of making people feel bad so that they buy stuff, like I am sorry to say I learned that way and I did it too. And this way works better. So thing number 4 is your sales acumen. Learning the art of selling from an emotionally intelligent place. Does that sound good? That's standard number 4, high standard of sales. Okay, are you guys ready to move on to number 5? That was a fun bonus drop. I love teaching on energetics. I love teaching. When I say the word energetics, I mean the science-based frequency of emotion. I'm obsessed with it. I'm here for all the healing. Okay, number 5. Number 5, this takes me right into like an amazing, amazing next piece. They touch, they cross, they're 2 in 1, okay? Number 5, standard number 5, 5th standard is integrity. Integrity as an entrepreneur, AKA EQ. Your emotional intelligence. So what I'm actually describing to you in these 7 standards is truly the sequence that I walk with all my entrepreneurs within a year. So the 5th thing that we do is I show people how to launch, conduct, and sell their services as a coach, mentor, speaker, or entrepreneur from a place of EQ. Your emotional quotient, your emotional intelligence. And a lot of this is caught, not taught. So if you're live, can you write caught, not taught? The greatest gift that I've ever given myself is joining other people's masterminds and watching and absorbing and catching how real leaders lead. What a gift. I learned emotional intelligence and it was caught, not taught. I got into masterminds and I continued to join masterminds and I continued to get coached and mentored by multiple phenomenal mentors who are just a little bit ahead of me in the industry because I get to watch them resolve conflict. And I get to see how they host masterminds, group programs, how they fulfill when there's a client problem. How they show face when life isn't pretty. How they respond in the face of hatred and attacks. How they show up in the face of maybe they're scaling their company, they've got some hiccups and a lot of stress and things are just bombs are going off in their background. We talked about this last month in our last month mastermind, or I'm sorry, our last month masterclass. Anybody who was there for it, we talked about diamonds uncut. There will be times as an entrepreneur where you will have like tons of pressure and you'll think the pressure's done and you're like, we can breathe, thank you, God. And then all of a sudden God's like, hey, now it's time for the fire. And then it's going to get cut. So the emotional intelligence quotient was something that it was not necessarily taught, it was caught by watching other leaders, how they conduct their masterminds and how they respond when things aren't pretty. So many of the clients that are walking in places like MDM, the $1 Million Mentor, or in Locked and Loaded, those are 2 masterminds that I have running right now. They say that they learned exactly how to run their masterminds by what they experience inside of mine. It's caught, not taught. It's hearing your mentor set the tone for the space. It's watching the guidelines that they put into place. It's listening to how they respond to conflicting questions. If you want to be an incredible entrepreneur and know how to help with client care and conflict resolution and setting a space and actually holding space for clients to thrive, you will do yourself a service to get inside of a mastermind. It's caught, not taught. So that is number 5. We are at standard number 6. Is anybody ready for number 6? Number 6. And let me know, how are you guys feeling about this so far? Is it clicking? Can you think of like the people who are over 6 figures and are you saying like, oh yeah, these people do all this stuff? Let's see, they do audience growth. They have hell yes offers. I see them doing launches. They understand how to communicate. They're writing alluring copy. They know the language. They're selling regularly and they don't feel like it's weird. It's like everything that they sell, I want to buy. It makes sense, right? You can feel their integrity as a person. You can tell that they fulfill on whatever they sell. You can tell that they have integrity as a mentor and they have EQ because people are watching and they're interacting and they want the things. And this person clearly has clients and they clearly have results. That's because they have integrity and EQ. I will say, like, warning red lights, flashing red lights. If you don't have integrity and you don't fulfill on what you sell, news travels really fast. You will not have a career in this industry for very long unless you clean it up and change. But there are people every year who incorporate a brand and they go to build an empire and they make promises that they can't keep or they don't fulfill on what they sold. And news travels fast. And this is why it doesn't seem like emotional quotient or EQ or integrity are a really big deal, but your integrity and your name is everything. I'll actually riff on this for just another second and I will say, I posted a reel the other day. And by the way, are you guys liking my reel content? Because your girl's over here going after the reels hardcore. And I've been posting reels every day. I'm here for it. You'll hear about it more in Internet Icons if you're in there. But like, I posted a reel the other day where I literally said, if everyone left me, which is a thing I hope never happens because I freaking love all of you guys. But I have this weird feeling that like if everything collapsed, for some reason everybody left me, or if like 2020 happened where our makeup manufacturer was like, hey girls, so we can't actually like produce your makeup anymore because of integrity, because of connection, because of emotional intelligence. We literally like restarted in a completely different industry. If you have integrity, you can do that. Yes, this phone just died, and as this phone died, my comments kicked in. Yes, I can see you guys. And my mom was here. My mom said, loving the reels. A lot of it is like behind the scenes footage from our retreats. I freaking love that content. Like, shout out DJ, shout out production team. I freaking love that content. It's so good. Okay, so your integrity matters because if you've sold things in the past and you have delivered on what you've sold and people know that they can trust you, you can pivot. Within the umbrella, somebody type umbrella, within the umbrella of my personal brand, I have literally sold parasite cleanses because it aligns with my mission, health. I have sold vitamins and supplements. It aligns with my mission, health, wellness, wealth, happiness. I have sold cosmetics for years, and thank God we switched manufacturers, so refresh, rebrand, remanufacture, whoo, sweat off the brow, right? I have sold programs on how to create your personal image for camera work. I have sold retreats, in-person events, masterminds, business coaching, copywriting classes, how to structure your social media. Like, I've sold so many things because it's all underneath the umbrella of happiness, health, and wealth for women. I have sold clothing. I've sold eyelashes. I have sold firearms classes with my husband because I want women to feel safe. I can literally sell anything underneath my umbrella that makes sense with my mission because of integrity. Because if I sell it, I make sure the client gets what they bought. That's why number 5 matters so much. It allows you to pivot. If people know that you did well and you serve them at your highest, with number 5, you can pivot. You can sell a lot more than just one box that you think that you're in. And by the way, how many of you guys feel like you're in a box with what you sell? You're like, oh, I'm known for this, but I really want to be doing this other thing. If you do, put a box in the comments because that's the point of building your empire this year. Building the personal brand. Allowing yourself the spaciousness to talk on many topics and sell many offers, okay? So speaking of this, I'm going to take you to number 6. So if you're taking notes, we're going to put standard number 6. The 6th magic standard in 100K plus brands, and it is offer stacking and scaling. Offer stacking and scaling the brand. Offer stacking and scaling the brand. This is something that later in the year, once I've got a really firm foundation with everything that I just talked about with my clients, it's offer stacking. So once you've got one proven offer that's really, it's an ace, like your clients know you for it, you're delivering on it, you're loving it, then there's always going to be upgrades. Everyone write in your notes, there's always going to be upgrades. There's adjuncts or affiliate products, okay? And then there's downsells. I can hear my kids laughing their heads off with their dad right now. It makes my heart smile. Now, this is also an art to curate the kind of brain that goes like, so let me think. This is how my brain works, and this has happened to me because I intentionally put myself around other entrepreneurs. I join masterminds. I catch things just by watching and listening. Okay, I learn the language and I help people through sales. So I'm going to give you an example of this. So offer stacking and scaling. So check this out. I know that when a client of mine wants to sell socially, they want to build a personal brand using free platforms called social media. Hell yes to that. I'll take the free platforms over building a $9,000 website any day. Give me the free freaking platforms. Let's go sell. Okay. When a client wants to build themselves as a personal brand, I know that a logical first step is their personal image. So I know that if I equip them to know how to do their makeup, work with a ring light and a camera in their phone, and also if I set them up with a photo shoot with our production team, they're going to have brand assets and a skill, so they'll never have to hire a makeup artist again. They can literally do their makeup and jump on camera any day of the week for the rest of their life, as long as cameras and phones are a thing, which I don't think they're going away anytime soon, right? Like, I give them this as like their baseline. That's an initial offer. It's called Frequency of Beauty. There's a live event happening in February where you can come and do all the things that I just mentioned. So that's an initial offer. So check this out. Upsell from that. If you have a client that's already in an offer that works for you, that's a proven offer. Hundreds of people have gone through it in my company. Okay, so that's a proven offer. And upsell would be they want to do everything. They want to build a brand. They want a content bank. They want to mastermind on all of their offers and products. They want our production team to film them. They want to sit and riff. They want luxury experiences. They want to stay at a retreat. So the upsell to that would be stay for the whole business retreat. Join a mastermind and stay for the whole business retreat. Let's work together for a whole year. That's an upsell. Okay? Adjunct or affiliate products are maybe they can't make the live retreat in February, but they can certainly buy all the makeup and watch the videos from their house. That's the adjunct. And downsell, maybe they don't even want to build a brand. They just want some products. They can just go to our website and buy some products. Or maybe they want the big retreat, but they can't come to that. So they go into Locked and Loaded and they do everything virtually and are in a mastermind for a year. Or maybe they just take one class for 6 weeks and learn how to build an audience. Do you see how that works? So this is another thing that you literally have to get your brain on board with. You have to learn the language. And a lot of it is caught and a lot of it is taught. So this is something that I teach my clients. They'll bring me their initial offers and they'll be like, okay, these would be 3 ways that they could upsell, they could upgrade, they could extend with you. This is like the top tier service that you could add to this, or something that they could do if that's too much for them. And we create what's called an offer suite. So if you're live, right, offer suite. That's part of number 6, is creating an actual suite of offers once you have one that's proven. You will notice, think of 3 people that you know that make over 6 figures. Do they have an offer suite? It's not just one thing. They have a suite of offers. That's part of offer stacking and scaling. And I help so many women with this. It's taking the genius and the brilliance between their two ears, turning it into intellectual property or an offer. We get it out there into the marketplace, get them some emotional intelligence so that they can really fulfill on what they said that they were selling. And then once it's proven, we stack and scale that offer into a suite. Think of them. Actually, go ahead and tag or list the 3 people that come to mind for you that are making 6 figures or more. And you're like, oh yeah, they have a suite of offers. They have more than one. They have upgrades. They have affiliate products. They have like adjunct products. They have downsells if somebody doesn't want to do the big thing. Do you know what I mean? This is a standard. For people doing 6 figures or higher, this is a standard. Okay? Is it making sense? It makes dollars and it makes sense, baby. This is a literal masterclass. A masterclass. If you get stuck halfway through the year and you come back to this and you listen to this again, something new is going to click. You are literally going to be like, oh my God, I got to the part of selling every day and now my EQ is bombing. I need someone to freaking encourage me and help me have integrity about what I said I was going to do, which was I was going to show up and I was going to sell and be brave and be vulnerable. Shit. I'm stuck on number 5. And some of you are going to get to the $25,000 mark this year. And you're going to be like, oh, I don't have an offer suite. I have one offer that I stopped selling. Well, shit. That is what this masterclass is for. I want this to be something that you come back to and you let it play in your ear and you let it foster ideas. A lot of what I'm saying might be going over some people's heads, and it's okay. If you listen to this 10 times, you literally are going to be like, oh my gosh, I heard something new. Okay. Okay. All right. Ready for number 7? Ready, ready? Ready, spaghetti? Our 7th standard. The 7th standard for highly profitable 100K plus personal brands. If you're ready for number 7, give me the hearts, give me the wow face, give me some lightning bolts in the comments because we're going to finish strong. This is your North Star for this year. I'm going to remind you of your excellence. I'm going to remind you of your greatness. I'm going to remind you of your mission. I'm going to remind you of all the ancestors whose shoulders you are standing on, who sacrificed to give you the spot that you've got on this planet today. I'm going to remind you that you have one of like the greatest gifts of inventions ever on the planet, and it's right here in your phone. I'm going to remind you that any amount of money that you want to generate, you can do with your marvelous mind and this phone. And I'm going to be a little bit up in your face with this one. Ready? Number 7. You have got to have cash profitable profiles. Your social media has got to be fire. Profitable profile. Write that for number 7. That happens to be the name of one of my courses, so don't go stealing it. Okay, okay. What I witnessed this weekend, and I'm going to be blunt. What I witnessed is a room full of people who greatly desire to be paid public speakers. And when you go to their social media, a decision maker, a buyer, a decision maker, they're looking for evidence. And what I know that I know that I know is that I wanted to coach every single person in that room this weekend. And they have phenomenal coaches. Like, they have phenomenal coaches. I'm not saying anything about the coaching. I'm saying what I am looking for as a buyer is when I look at someone's profile, I'm looking for evidence of greatness. I am searching for evidence of greatness. Money travels to the biggest energy in the room. Write that. Write that, write that, write that, write that down in your notes, in your head, on your mirror. Like, write it in your bedroom. Money flows to the biggest energy in the room. Part of the emotional intelligence work that I do with my clients is actually called reclamation work. We do it in dripping wet copy. Because a lot of you have greatness and you are not showing it. Downplaying it, hiding out, nervous of who's going to talk. There are so many of you that could be an energy match to myself and other people in the online space, my peers, the great ones. You have greatness within and you are downplaying it, and people can't feel your power. Lisa said, oh, Lord, called out. How can people know how great you are if you don't show your power? When I talk about a profitable profile, I mean show your greatness. This comes with some specific things on social media, okay? And I'm about to deep dive on this tomorrow in Internet Icons. Tomorrow is day 1 of a 6-week deep dive that I'm doing with all my masterminds and my closest clients. And I'm going to give you a sneak peek of it right now. When people come to your profile, they are looking for specific things. They want to see a cover photo that actually demonstrates who you are. If I was going to book you, your time, your talent, your service, buy your products, I want to be able to tell from the look in your eyes on your cover photo, or I'm sorry, your profile picture, from the representation in your cover photo, the bio that you have on your social media, and the type of content that you put in the online space. I want to feel your energy. Whether your energy is a large energy because it's artistic and it's visual and it's alluring and it's passionate and it's bold and it's strong and it's loving. If that's your energy, I want to feel that. If it's intimate and it's sultry and it's connected and it's deep and it's soulful, I want to feel it. If you're a renegade like me, who is like, I desire and I am creating the impact for women and more money in the hands of women and more money in the hands of people that have values and integrity and are healers and connectors and speakers and thinkers who are making global change. And I want those women to get paid. Like, you can feel that from me. Like, I'm literally calling out to you today to realize that your ancestors literally stood for you at dish basins and washed dishes and changed diapers and made beds and planted lettuce and curated gardens and sewed blankets so that you could be here today. And you're going to sit on your hands and hide your gifts? I'm calling you out. Write in your notes, proper presentation. Like, I don't mean proper like be proper. I mean properly present your gift. This might look like a professional photo shoot. This might look like curating your developing your voice, developing your gift of speaking, learning how to deliver a masterclass. I teach that. effective communication in your copywriting, proper graphics. It was a big thing this weekend to be introduced to decision makers with the NFL, the NBA, huge corporations, and to hear them talk about how they decide. Because I mean, this is triggering, but I'm going to say there's so much money in the world. And decision makers are looking for power. They are looking to feel your power, whether your power is a healer or your power is an entrepreneur or a speaker or an advocate or an activist or a mother or whatever you are. They want to feel it and they want to be able to see it visually. If your profiles in the social media landscape, the free platforms where you can sell every day, like number one, if you're not using the free platforms, like I jump through the phone and I spank your butt right now. I spank you. I spank your little butt. If you're not using the free platforms to speak your truth and to make impact and you're sitting on a gift, like I spank your butt right now. And also, if you have something that you're hiding and you are literally refusing to show the world your greatness, it's time. This is the moment. Karina Braha said, I feel the spanking. Yeah. You have to present properly. It was remarkable to hear decision makers say how they decide. And it was like, yeah, like we literally go scrub people's social media. Like people send us pitches for $40,000 talks that they want to give. And we have the budget to pay someone $40,000 to talk. And the person who gets it, like we scrub their social media. We go see who they're about, what they're about, the kind of things that they're saying. So if you have this gift and this message that's trapped inside and you're not out there sharing it and you don't have like proper presentation of who you are, if people can't literally go on your profile and be able to see the frequency of beauty in your eyes, like you're hiding out and you're hiding your gifts, you're gonna be passed over for cash. Hard truth. Hard truth. People want to know who they're doing business with. They want to be able to feel your energy. They want to be able to look in your eyes. It is a red flag if you go on social media and you cannot see people's eyes. You want to make global impact, or maybe not even global impact. You just want to make your first 100K this year. You've got to be willing to have a profitable profile, meaning show yourself. Next time you encounter someone who's over 6 figures, I said 7, but really over 6, these are the 7 standards. People who hit 6 figures, they know this and they're doing it. People who are hitting 6 figures are doing personal development. They're working on their EQ. They're working on their copywriting. They are learning. They're doing audience growth mode. They're learning how to write hell yes offers. They're learning how to do proven launch sequences. They are growing their sales acumen. They're learning the language. They have personal integrity. They fulfill on what they sell, and people know it, and so their reputation grows. Once they get a winning offer, they start stacking and scaling. And when you go to their profiles, you can feel them. You can feel their power. You can see it. They have branded photos. They get branding done. We have branding artists here within our midst. Feel free to out yourself. There's people who create branding. You send them a photo, they make you a brand. Like branded images, your cover photos, the branding for your courses and classes. Like, this matters. If people can't feel you, you will get passed over for cash. Write it in the notes, write it in your comments. If people cannot feel you, you will get passed over for cash. Those are the 7 standards. So of course, I'm going to invite you to develop your gift. Of course. 1,000,000 times yes. And tonight, I'm actually going to make 2 irresistible offers for you. If you heard about the retreat, if you know about Locked and Loaded, you've heard me talk about masterminds where things are caught and taught, and you've had it in the back of your mind, you've been wanting to do it anyways, I have 2 irresistible offers for you. So if you were just here for the masterclass and you don't want to hear the invitations, I want to say thank you for coming. Come back and replay as often as you need inspiration this year. This particular training is your North Star. If you are on the way to your first 10K month, which is about what it takes to make 6 figures in a year, right? It's like $8,000 a month. That takes you to your first 6 figures. If you are not yet at $8,000, $10,000 a month, you want to come back and replay this masterclass on a regular basis. And just get a reality check about what it takes and ask yourself honestly and truly, am I doing this? Like, if I said I wanted $100,000 this year, is there any piece in these 7 that I'm not doing? Just gut check. I love you, and gut check. Don't say you want it and then sit on your hands. I love you enough to say, if you really want this, I'm going to remind you of your grandmas who stood at the sink and washed dishes and lived a life where they didn't have this, and you do. Don't sit on your gift. Type in the comments, don't sit on your gift this year. It's your year to build an empire. You have everything you need. You have access to mentors, trainings, masterclasses. You have access to masterminds and trainings via your phone. You have a phone that you can contact literally billions of people. It's free. The use of a phone and social media is free. You develop your gift. That's the gap. Develop your gift. Okay? So here's the irresistible offer that I've got for you. First, I want to tell you, coming up in a very short, probably 5 weeks away, we have our annual retreat coming up. Now, if you were in pre-cool this last week and you saw my calendar, how many of you were in pre-cool? If you were in pre-cool, the annual planning class, go ahead and write pre-cool in the comments. If you guys saw my annual plan, you will have noticed there was only 1 retreat on the calendar. Did anybody else notice? Did anybody else notice there was not a retreat number 2? Anybody notice? There's 1 retreat on the calendar this year. I do not know that I'll be doing a second one. It is not on my calendar, and the year is planned. It would be an act of God if I did another long retreat. I highly freaking doubt it. Did anybody have a retreat on their brain for this year? It is in, let me count. What's the date today? It's the 10th. It is in 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 weeks. Oh my gosh. Retreat. Okay, here's the vibe for retreat. It is in Atlanta, Georgia proper. It's 30 minutes of a drive, maybe 35 in traffic. There's 35 minutes in traffic from the Atlanta International Airport, one of the largest airports in the world. You fly in for retreat on Friday, February 17th. So it's the weekend after Valentine's Day. That's the check-in date for retreat, the 17th of February. That's the check-in. The location is an undisclosed location. You will not know where we're going to be until you buy a ticket, because it's a private retreat space, and lovingly, I don't want anybody crashing it. So if you don't have a ticket, you don't get to know where we are. That's just how it rolls, okay? The retreat kicks off on Saturday morning, February the 18th. Both Saturday and Sunday, we have what I described when I talked about the frequency of beauty. It's a 2-day event where I am walking women through their image for camera presentation. What's included is your lunch, and it's bougie. Think like rich girl farm to table vibes, okay? Bougie, long 90-minute lunch, swag bag worth hundreds of dollars, including luxury gifts and cosmetics to actually do the rituals. We're gonna have 2 days of beauty rituals that are guided by yours truly with the intent in mind. So if you're live, right, intent in mind, that inside those 2 days, you master makeup artistry for print and film. At the end of both of those days, at the end of the first 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, our production team is going to be live with us, and they are going to do photo shoots at the end of day so that they can capture photos of you, professional photos of you, for fresh headshots, profile pictures, and you can also use these for your personal branding. So professional photos for you to use. If you're someone who doesn't have any branding done, you don't have a cover photo, you can take these images, send them to a graphic designer like Dana Winand, who's here in the comments, etc., and have your branding created. You can use these pictures to update your profile picture. Actually, if you're watching live and you see Tahani, go ahead and say something, Tahani, in the comments if you can. If you can see Tahani's photo in the comments, that is from our last retreat. So she went the full 9 yards, brought a formal dress. She did her makeup, hair, styling, everything. Someone had a crown. She just went for the whole thing. Gold background. We bring in professional backgrounds, professional lighting. Our team takes your pictures, and it's included as part of the event. You're welcome, Dana. It's my pleasure. Oh my gosh. And Nellie was there at the last retreat. She said, you will be surprised if you go. It is a vibe. Okay, so that's day 1 and 2. On February 18th and 19th, that goes down. Monday, which is also included inside the 3-day event ticket, the Monday is a day focused to brand development and wealth. So the intent is to teach you like makeup and presentation for print, film, camera work, etc. And on day 3, we're going to talk about how to maximize your photos, how to build a luxury brand, how to build the brand that gets over 100K potentially. Like that's the goal. We're going to talk deeply about wealth accumulation with your brand. And so that's happening on the 3rd day. That happens to be February the 20th. Okay. So if you go on our website, there are going to be 2 different options as far as links are concerned. And actually, I think the full-length retreat link is hidden for now. But right now, when you buy the Wealth Vibes retreat, it'll say Frequency of Beauty. That's 3 days. It's the first 2 days of beauty. It's the 3rd day around brand. So it's beauty and brand for 3 days. The event ticket for that currently is $3,333. It is inclusive of the all-day event. Your breakfast and lunch are catered. It's a farm-to-table vibe. And there's tons of space for you to book as far as staying on site at the property, and I highly recommend that you do. It's a luxury experience that you will not forget. So that is the retreat first 3 days. I want to talk through what happens after that because there's already close to 20 women that are booked to come for the first 3 days, which I'm marveling at. I'm stoked. I'm excited. I'm pumped. People are still inquiring about tickets today. I'm very excited about this. But there is an extension. So write the word extension. More than half the women are leaving. at the end of 3 days. And a handful of our clients are staying. This retreat is maxed out at 10 clients. 5 are already booked for the extension. So it's already 50% filled. It looks like we have 5 spots still remaining. I can double check those numbers with my team tomorrow, but it looks like we have 5 left for the extension. What the extension looks like is actually a high-end executive retreat. When you get into the world of coming to in-person retreats, there are retreats that are jam-packed with stuff and things, and you go home exhausted. This is not that. The vibe, if you stay for the extension, is actually after everybody leaves Monday night, you have a day off on Tuesday to enjoy a luxury property. Acres and acres of luxury. Pools, spa, horses, trails, hiking, bougie restaurants. Like, I can't explain the magic of this place. We actually feel like there's like a time portal there because it feels like time stands still and magic happens. It's so next level. If it calls to you, you can sleep all day. You don't have to do anything. But Tuesday, you literally have like a rest day to let your body chill. Then the magic really kicks in. So February 22nd, 23rd, and 24th is the executive business portion of the retreat. What happens there is crazy. We have a penthouse, we have luxury accommodations, and the clients who are there become like a sacred sister circle together around their brands. We literally hang out all day long doing photo shoots, video shoots for your company so that you leave with a content bank to show the world evidence of your brand when you leave. Even if you walk in not knowing exactly what you're going to sell, these pictures are worth everything. I use the same content bank that I gather in like a day or two to speak about my brand and sell for months, sometimes years. So being at the executive sector of this retreat, you're getting photo shoots, video content bank. You're getting the opportunity to connect and mastermind with other women who have it in their brains that they're just crazy enough to go after multi 6 and 7 figures and beyond. We specifically spend time masterminding about your brands, your offers, your offer suites, what you can offer to your clients. It's out of this world. The food is insane. The environment is insane, and it's all inclusive. So if you do the whole executive retreat, your stay is included, all your meals are included, your accommodations are included, your photo shoots are included, your content bank is included. It's all inclusive. So there's the option to do the 3-day event for $3,333. There's also the option to attend our all-inclusive executive retreat, and that's $10K. So if you're listening and you're interested in the executive retreat, just write it's $10K because it's $10K. It takes a ton to put it on, a ton of staff, a ton of production, a ton of legwork on the front end and the back end. It's one of my masterpieces of the whole year with our clients. And it crushes timelines. It collapses timelines around business growth and development of self. Okay, so it's $10K to attend the executive retreat. Now, here's the fun offer. This offer is good for 48 hours. Here we go. You may have heard of what's called MDM. It's the $1 Million Mentorship. I run a mastermind that will be live from now until June the 1st. It's the first, big chunk of the year. Right now, if you buy MDM by itself, it's $35,000. Paid in full, $35K. If you were someone who was thinking about coming to MDM and the retreat, That would be $45,000 if you wanted to do both, right? Fast math, 45K. For the next 48 hours, if you want both, my mastermind where I'm active in it most of the week, it's an all access pass to courses while you have mastermind. It's the closest proximity access you can get to me, as well as retreat. We're going to bundle them together and you will not pay $45K for that. It's $33,000 one-time payment. If you choose to and you want to do it, I've got 2 spots for that. I have people in my mind right now who have been eyeballing this, thinking about it, wanting to upgrade. They want to do the retreat. They want the mastermind. And what I want to say about this is that MDM is closing on June 1st, and I don't know that I'm bringing it back. I have a lot of things that I want to do this year, and I truly, this is not like a marketing gimmick. I really don't know if I'm going to reopen it in the fall. So if you've been wanting to do my highest proximity masterminds and you want to do the retreat, for 2 people, I'm going to offer it at $33,000. If you need to split it up, if you need to do a bank transfer, if you need to put it between different cards, message me right now because the first 2 people to claim it and pay get the spots. Okay, so that's offer number 1. If you're live, you can write $33K paid in full, and that's retreat plus MDM. Okay, offer number 2, irresistible offer number 2. There's another playground that I have that's called Locked and Loaded. Locked and Loaded. If you're in Locked and Loaded, raise your hand in the comments and say hi. There's Locked and Loaded. That space is an all access pass to all of my courses this year. Plus, once a month, I do a VIP day that's all day long with those clients, masterminding about their brands and growing them. Right? Lisa Carter said hi. Heather said hi. There's 27 heart-centered women in Locked and Loaded right now. Locked and Loaded on its own is $15,000 right now. That price is going up in Q1. Abigail said hi. She's in it. Okay. So this next offer is strictly paid in full. So this is not available for payments. It's a pay in full offer. If there's someone who would like to commit to Locked and Loaded for a year and do a pay in full, Locked and Loaded by itself is $15K. The retreat is $10K. So if you wanted to kind of bundle those together and pay separately, it would be $25,000. Correct? Correct. For 2 people, I'm going to do something super fun. I'm going to throw in the paid in full, or I'm sorry, the Locked and Loaded, $15K value. I'm going to put in the retreat, $10K value, and I'm going to put in pre-coaching. So we're going to have a little pod of pre-coaching for clients who are coming to this retreat. 3 weeks of pre-coaching leading up to the retreat. And all of it, this is a strict paid in full, all of it together is $22K. And I'm going to open up 3 spots for that. The first people to raise your hand and do the thing get the spots. So that offer is actually worth probably $28,000, and you can get it for $22,000. The clock is on. These offers are good for 48 hours. The first 2 people to grab the MDM and pay for it, they're getting retreat and mastermind access from now until June 1 for $33,000. Whereas right now, if you go find the link online just for the mastermind, not for the retreat, just the mastermind alone is selling for $35,000 right now. So you're getting mastermind and retreat for $33K paid in full. Reach out to my team if you want it or you want to split, okay? And then if you want to do Locked and Loaded paid in full and also get the retreat, it's $22K. And I'm going to throw in 3 weeks of pre-coaching. All right, so those are your irresistible offers. If you watch this masterclass and you're like, yep, I want all the things. I want to have a profile that people can feel my power. You have to have photo shoots, and that's part of the retreat. You have to have video content that allows people to see your power. You have to have branding. You will be passed over for cash if you do not have things that compete in the global market. If you want to speak your message, you've got to develop your voice. You've got to learn copywriting. And just by the way, everything that I covered today in those 7 standards is exactly what you learn in Locked and Loaded. That is the literal sequence of Locked and Loaded. When you come into places like Locked and Loaded, you're going to learn audience growth mode starting tomorrow. Inside Internet Icons, you're going to learn how to create hell yes offers and launches in our next deep dive. It's called Offer to Launch. You're going to learn how to speak the language. It's called Dripping Wet Copy, and we're going to do some reclamation work around your voice so that you speak your truth and you're not afraid. Stop hiding. Then I'm going to teach you what I call heart and soul sales. It's feminine energetics led selling. We're going to do a 6-week deep dive on that. From there, we walk into your integrity as a mentor. It's an EQ course for mentors. There's an option if you want it to get a coaching certification out of it. Now, the coaching industry is non-regulated, so some people just want a certificate to say, like, I did a thing. And you can get that, but only if you're part of Locked and Loaded or MDM. It's not offered to the public. From there, we have offer stacking and scaling. It's called Sell, Stack, and Scale. Voila. From there, we move into profitable profiles and more EQ in spaces like Iconic. So everything that I talked about tonight is literally what you do in Locked and Loaded. These 7 standards are Locked and Loaded. So if you're wondering, like, is this for me? If this masterclass was for you, if building your empire this year was for you, if you're the type of person who makes an investment in yourself and says, I'm getting an ROI, I'm going to spend this amount of money on developing my gift, and I am hardcore determined that I'm going to get my money back out in spades, I am the mentor for you. If you are someone who sits on your hands and sits on your gifting, I am not the right person for you, because I'm going to call the greatness out of you this year. I'm doing unprecedented things inside of my masterminds this year that I've never done before, and my commitment is strong to my clients. I want to see massive client success this year. This year, we're doing crazy things like we're celebrating with swag, gear, gifts, your first $5,000 in business, your first $10,000 in business, your first 10K month, your first 25, 50, 75, 100K. Like, I am here to breed 6-figure entrepreneurs this year. This is my passion right now. Like, my 2023, I'm about it. Like, about it. If you're looking for that, I'm your girl. I deeply care whether or not you succeed. I deeply care whether or not you get these 7 standards down. I deeply care whether people can feel your power in the social media space and whether they pick you. If you're looking for a mentor like that, I'm your girl. So if you have any questions, if you want to know more about Locked and Loaded, if you want to know more about the retreat, if you're one of the people who's going to grab one of those irresistible offers that are freaking steal for that retreat, if you want to get a content bank made in Q1 this year and use it to sell all year long, message me. And if all of that was like, whoa, that's out of my price range, I'm going to give you a different option. Something is starting tomorrow called Internet Icons. It's a 6-week program to develop your social media audience. It's audience growth mode on steroids. And it starts tomorrow. Tomorrow's the first class, and we have 6 weeks together. That particular space is $1,111. And if you are not in anything, that's your next move. So feel free to message my team, and we'll get you connected. I got your back. All right. Love you guys. Come back and watch this masterclass. This is your North Star this year. 7 standards. All right. Love you. Bye.